Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to have you here today. Our presentation is titled, Advice Ruining Your Perspective on Relationships. We'll explore how social media can sometimes distort our understanding of healthy relationships. Over the next few slides, we'll discuss the impact of online opinions, how to identify helpful advice, and ways to develop your own perspective. Let's get started. Let's talk about the problem with viral relationship wisdom. It's ironic, really. Many of these creators promote ideas like self-awareness and healthy love, which sound great in theory. But in practice, the advice they share often does the opposite. It can discourage critical thinking, emotional nuance, and the ability to see love for what it truly is. Love is complex, imperfect, and deeply human. It's not black and white. The viral nature of online advice has created a new kind of relationship culture, one that favors simplicity, catchy slogans, and oversimplified ideas. A prime example of this is the phrase, "If they wanted to, they would." On the surface, it might seem empowering, like it's encouraging us to be more confident. But underneath, it's a dangerously reductive way to look at human behavior and love. It oversimplifies the complexities of communication, effort, and understanding in relationships. This culture of oversimplified advice is quietly warping how we see connection, how we communicate, and how we develop emotional maturity. It's important we recognize these pitfalls so we can move beyond surface-level solutions and develop a more nuanced understanding of love. Let's talk about the rise of quick-fix relationship wisdom. Social media, as you know, runs on algorithms that are really designed to maximize engagement, not necessarily to share the truth. So, emotionally charged posts tend to spread much faster than those that are nuanced or complex. For example, a tweet or TikTok video that says, "If they wanted to, they would" feels very clear, assertive, and emotionally validating, especially for those who have been neglected or mistreated in the past. But here's the real danger. This kind of validation can easily replace reflection. Instead of asking ourselves why something happened, we tend to jump to conclusions about what it means. Like, if someone didn't call, we might think they don't care. Or if they didn't buy flowers, we might assume they're not invested. And if someone takes a while to reply, we could think they're losing interest. What's happening here is that, instead of staying curious and seeking understanding, we're falling into confirmation bias. We're looking for evidence to confirm our insecurities rather than exploring the truth with empathy. This shift from curiosity to validation-based thinking can really distort how we see our relationships, and that's what makes this trend so dangerous. It's a quick fix, but it often prevents us from truly understanding each other. So the phrase, "if they wanted to, they would" might sound wise at first glance. It suggests that if someone truly cares, they'll make the effort, and if they don't, then maybe they're not worth it. It's often a reminder to value yourself and not chase after people who aren't showing effort. And in some cases, especially with one-sided relationships or emotional neglect, it can be a healthy lesson to let go. But here's the thing, psychology shows us that human behavior is rarely that simple. People express love and care in different ways, depending on their background, attachment styles, and emotional maturity. Some people might show affection through words, while others do it through actions. Some might pull away when they're feeling anxious, and others might overcommunicate because they're scared of losing you. So when we say, "if they wanted to, they would," we're oversimplifying these differences. We tend to interpret hesitation as disinterest, confusion as rejection, and silence as indifference. But that's not always accurate. The truth is, love often exists in those gray areas, in the uncertainty, the growing pains, and the effort to understand each other, even when it's not easy or straightforward. It's about recognizing that it's not always black and white, and that sometimes love requires patience and understanding beyond the surface. Let's talk about how social media shapes what we expect from love and relationships. Platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube often turn romantic relationships into these cinematic highlight reels. We see couples giving surprise gifts, writing heartfelt notes, and showing endless affection, all carefully curated into short, polished clips. It's emotional perfection in just 60 seconds. And then we look at the comments. They can be pretty harsh, things like "if they wanted to, they would," or "this is the bare minimum," or never settle for less. But what's missing here? What no one shows are the nights full of confusion, miscommunication, or the compromises that actually build a real relationship. Real love, as you know, requires emotional labor, self-control, and often those awkward, uncomfortable conversations. But social media tends to portray these moments as red flags instead of opportunities for growth. When we compare our imperfect, messy love stories to these glossy, edited snippets, our perspective gets warped. We start measuring love not by depth or emotional safety, but by how it looks, its performance and aesthetics. And that's a big part of what we're discussing today. How social media influences our expectations and perceptions of love, often distorting what true connection really involves. So on this slide, we're really diving into how the way we communicate, or fail to communicate, can make or break relationships. The phrase, if they wanted to, they would might sound like a shortcut to understanding, but in reality, it often just simplifies things in a way that sabotages genuine connection. Instead of openly sharing what we need or feel, many of us test our partners, hoping they'll just figure it out. And when we're uncomfortable, instead of speaking up, we withdraw, waiting for some kind of proof that we're loved. It's like we're playing emotional guessing games, which only leads to misunderstandings and frustration. What's really important to remember here is that healthy relationships aren't about mind reading. They're about honesty and revealing your true feelings and needs. Expecting someone to instinctively know how to love you without being told isn't just unfair. It's a misconception of what love really is. And we all come from different emotional backgrounds, so what feels obvious or minimal to you might not be the same for someone else. Love isn't about perfection. It's about patience, teaching each other your emotional languages, and learning to understand those signals over time. Ultimately, it's about building a relationship based on open dialogue, not assumptions. Because true connection comes from revealing ourselves, not guessing what the other person might be thinking or feeling. Let's talk about standards versus delusions, and how knowing the difference is crucial. Standards are about our core values, things like kindness, loyalty, honesty, and they form the foundation of self-respect built on clear principles. On the other hand, delusions are about fantasies, thinking that chemistry will be effortless or that you'll find perfect compatibility without effort, or expecting constant validation from someone. These delusions often lead to self-sabotage because they set unrealistic expectations that can't be maintained. Having standards means you respect yourself and what you deserve. Having delusions, however, can cause you to overlook reality and hinder genuine connection. Now, social media tends to blur the line between these two. It creates a false sense that relationships can be built on telepathy or instant chemistry, things that aren't realistic. In real relationships, it's about teamwork. The person who's right for you won't magically know what you need. You have to communicate that. And you need to care enough to teach them, to express your needs clearly. Without good communication, even the best potential connection can start to fade under the weight of unspoken expectations. So remember, real connection depends on mutual effort and understanding, not wishful thinking or shortcuts. When we talk about the missing ingredient in navigating relationships, it's all about understanding the importance of context and critical thinking. You see, the internet is flooded with advice that's often one size fits all. But the truth is, relationships are deeply personal ecosystems. What might be helpful for one person could actually be harmful or toxic for someone else. Likewise, what appears to be the bare minimum in one situation might be someone's genuine effort in another. So, before we jump to accept viral advice, we need to pause and ask ourselves some key questions. Does this advice really apply to my specific situation? Am I considering my unique circumstances? Does it align with my core values, or am I just reacting emotionally? And finally, am I using this advice to genuinely protect myself, or am I avoiding vulnerability? Critical thinking is really our best tool here. It acts as an antidote to emotional manipulation, whether that's happening online or within our personal relationships. So always remember, don't just take advice at face value. Filter it through your own context and values. That's how you build healthier, more authentic relationships. Building a healthier perspective on love starts with a simple but powerful idea. Build yourself first. When we focus on developing our own sense of happiness and worth from within, everything changes. We stop seeking validation from others because we already feel complete. This shift allows us to attract relationships that truly align with who we are, rather than chasing after something that's missing. When your life is full, filled with purpose, creativity, friendship, and growth, you approach love differently. Love becomes a gift you share, not a need you desperately try to fulfill. Think of it like planting a beautiful garden. If you nurture your own well-being and passions, the right people, like butterflies, are naturally drawn to you. And even if they're not, you still benefit from the beauty you've cultivated. It's important to remember, though, that loving others doesn't mean losing yourself. You can care deeply for someone while still prioritizing your own health and happiness. Ultimately, building yourself first creates a foundation where love can flourish authentically and sustainably. Now, as we reach the conclusion, I want to emphasize what I call the real lesson. The problem with viral advice isn't that it's entirely wrong. It's that often it's incomplete. Phrases like, if they wanted to, they would, can feel empowering, but they also have a downside. They tend to strip love of its humanity, its imperfections, and its true depth. The truth is, you don't need to reject all advice outright. Instead, you need to learn how to filter it through wisdom, understanding the context, and being self-aware. Not every piece of advice applies universally, and what works for one person might not work for another. So, before you adopt the next viral mantra you come across, pause for a moment and ask yourself, are you building your understanding of love on truth, or are you just following trends? Are you genuinely seeking an authentic connection, or are you simply chasing what everyone else calls relationship goals? At the end of the day, the most meaningful relationship advice isn't the loudest or most popular. It's the quiet reminder that love requires curiosity, honest communication, and courage. Those are the real foundations for building something lasting and genuine.